someone that we have loved has taken their life, our lives may be shattered. Our worlds may be thrown into total chaos. We may be overwhelmed by feelings that are extraordinarily painful. We may be confronted by questions that test our very reason for existence, like why did this happen? How can I survive such intense feelings of guilt? How can I live again in the future without the one that I've loved? How can I deal with this huge sense of loss? And we may wonder whether it's ever possible to go on living in what may seem a very scary future. So we are plunged into one of the greatest struggles of our lives that can threaten to splinter us into fragments. And we may be deceived into believing that nothing will ever get better, that nothing will change, that we've been deserted by God, that we are utterly alone, and that we've not the strength or the ability to carry on and to put our lives together again. However, we do manage to put one foot in front of the other, even though there may seem no reason for doing so. We do carry on in the dark. We can take tiny steps towards building up our lives again. The fact that you are here at the moment, the fact that you have survived the past few days, weeks, months, is living proof that you have survived. And this knowledge can bring us hope and the possibility of new life ahead. Australia is a country that is subject to devastating bushfires. A few years ago, an area near where I lived was ravaged by such a bushfire. And it was a very sobering experience to go to that area and see all the trees dead and charred. However, there is a gum nut, like this one, that needs the heat of the fire to crack the outer shell and so to release the inner seed so that it can germinate. So although we may feel dead inside, from us can come new life, but so often we are in such pain that we don't notice those new shoots of new life in us. We need to notice that we are carrying on with the routines of daily life, that we are reaching out to others, that we are building a new life, that we are making use of our experiences and using them to benefit ourselves and our family and others around us. And so we find the strength within us to sow those tiny seeds of hope and refuse to give in to despair and lift ourselves out of the struggle. Some of the people in Adelaide who have lost people that they love through suicide, whether family or friends, tell their stories to you in this video. Although everyone's grief is different and everyone copes in their own individual way, these stories show that it is possible to put one's life back together again after suicide, that it is possible to survive, that the pain does lessen, that we can carry on the influence of the person that we have lost if we wish, in our own lives, in the lives of our family, and in the lives of others. That it is possible for us to survive and for life to become meaningful and purposeful again. Importantly, it shows that there is no need to go this road alone, and it can be very beneficial to reach out for help. On the occasion of the Belgian 3rd National Survivors' Day, we in Adelaide, South Australia, wish to join hands with you across the seas to send you this message of hope. Our hearts go out to you.
Greetings to the people in Belgium from us here in South Australia, or as we sometimes call it, from down under. My name's Ian Gaskell, and one time a few years ago I had the privilege of driving through your country, and in particular driving through that great port of Antwerp. We have a common bond that links us all together in the sense that we have lost someone through suicide. My wife Lynn and I lost our son David in August 2002.
My name is Jill, and nearly 3 years ago my 16-year-old son Michael took his own life. We recently celebrated his birthday. He would have been 19.
My name's Therese, and we lost our 16-year-old daughter 5.5 years ago.
Hi, I'm Emma, and I lost my 23-year-old boyfriend Sean 15 months ago. He suicided 2 weeks before our son was to celebrate his 3rd birthday.
G'day, my name's Peter. I'm married to Therese. We had 6 children. 5.5 years ago, our 16-year-old daughter Liz suicided.
I have a 4-year-old, he's 4 now. His name is Lucas.
My name is Roger Tulloch. I'm Michael Chapman's maternal grandfather. He died just over 3 years, not quite 3 years ago now.
Yeah, my name's Jo, and I've lost my brother to suicide 20 months ago today, actually.
My name's Mary, I'm 16. I lost my sister through suicide 5.5 years ago.
I'm Sandy. I'm the mother of Joel, and this is Joel.
My name is Ione Tulloch, and I live in a lovely suburb of Tea Tree Gully.
Joel died 12 years ago. He was 17.
Michael was my grandson who we lost to suicide when he was 16, nearly 3 years ago.
I'm Marg, and my husband suicided 16 years ago.
My name is Aaron, and my little brother Joel committed suicide about 12 years ago when he was 17. Joel's death's had a major effect on all of us. We're a very, very close family.
First, it was mainly a loss of confidence. A loss of confidence in the family unit, loss of confidence how life worked.
We were devastated. I think the family were numb.
No one can understand or predict how these things are going to happen and why they happen.
Probably one of the hardest things for the family initially was that there was no explanation whatsoever, no note, no idea from friends, no inclination or feeling from even any of us.
We adopt the attitude that these sort of things always happen to somebody else or to some other family. But in reality, they can happen to any of us.
I felt I was on automatic pilot, and I just didn't know, I would get through the day and not know how I actually got through the day, and I couldn't ever tell you what I'd done during that day.
I guess I'm more emotional. There are times when I have trouble sleeping.
My younger brother Russell, he lives away as well, so it's difficult to speak with him very often, but when he said to me that his tolerance level is way down, that he cannot cope with trivial matters and petty whinging, and I agree. My level for that has gone down too.
I guess we just spiralled into the, what have we done wrong? If only we'd done this.
When Liz died, I didn't realise it, but my behaviour became really bad in the house, and Therese told me she'd made an appointment with a professional, and I was diagnosed upon going with major depression.
The kaleidoscope of emotions is incredible that you go through, and the why factor is the biggest issue, I think.
My mother and father, as grandparents, I feel have suffered a double loss because they grieve for me as a mother as well as themselves and as well as for Michael.
His death, I cannot understand it. I'll never be able to understand why.
It's awful. It's got the potential to destroy our lives. I'd say I was suffering from a broken heart.
I was subsequently put on medication, which I never ever thought it would happen to me, but it changed my life because it normalised things, and after quite a period of time I felt I was actually in control.
As a mum, telling a 4-year-old son about his dad, you have to be truthful, but not completely. They don't understand death, so they can't understand everything completely. I've told him that his dad was sad and he couldn't talk about it, and yeah, he was hurting so much that he hurt himself to end his pain, but his dad loved him so much. And I've tried to tell Lucas that when he's sad, that he should always talk to somebody to express his feelings.
Since Michael's death, our whole family has become much closer together. We say I love you a lot more than we ever used to, and we probably keep in touch more than we used to.
We couldn't, just because her life in a sense had been destroyed, we couldn't let it destroy our lives.
And also it's brought our family much closer together. They support us greatly.
We feel a lot for each other at special times like birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas and so forth, which we try as hard as we can to celebrate as we would have celebrated before.
Having the two parents in the household, you know, you tend to just stay home and do your day-to-day chores, but now I seem to go out and try and get out there and see more, and like, I don't have Sean to drive me around, so I've got a car and I've got my licence, and I'm now looking for a job.
Slowly I've found a place to express my grief and be able to have the freedom of talking about Warren. And
no one will ever replace her position, but I have people that are really close to me.
And I personally went to a grief support group, and I just needed to be there with some other people who were further along the track than I was, who I could see they'd survived, and that gave that ground in that hope.
I didn't need someone to sympathise with me and pity me. I needed someone to encourage me and tell me to get through it, and that, you know, I was going to get through it.
I found that my role as facilitator of the Bereaved Through Suicide support group has aided very greatly in my own healing. I often feel that the people in the group help me more than I help them, because it helps to normalise our grief for all of us. It helps us all to understand that what we're going through is really quite normal and it's really quite okay.
We went along to the Bereaved Through Suicide support group and found people there who were going through the same thing that we were facing.
With my involvement with the group, I started to help other people, and I soon recognised from helping others I was helping myself as well.
I think the most important thing for me was going to the suicide support group.
I did a counselling course as such, and that was very beneficial in giving me confidence in helping others as well.
It was great to see people who had been bereaved through suicide. Most of the people were a lot further down the track than I was, and it just gave me that feeling that I can survive.
It all takes time. I know that I'm getting better, but I also know there's quite a long way to go.
Nobody can tell you that life will get back to normal, because it never will. But as a dear friend of mine says, you find a new way of normal, a new way of life that creates some normality for you and your family.
It's helped me to realise and be grateful for many of the small things and also some of the larger things that I overlooked.
For the rest of my life, I don't think there'll be a day when I won't be thinking something about him. But I expect that the emotional twinge will gradually be lessened.
I'm not the same as I used to be. I have a larger outlook on life.
For me, it's changed my perspective on work and family and how much time I spend with each category.
I think I'm more tolerant of people who suffer depression and similar complaints. I don't know that I've ever been really intolerant, but perhaps I haven't been tolerant enough.
I'd encourage anyone else to go to a support group, or go and find someone that you can talk to and you can cry on, have a hug.
You certainly become more able to incorporate the experience into your life.
I see things as a lot more precious, and I see things as gifts now rather than just taking things for granted, and I see the opportunity to be with people I love as a gift.
I feel more compassionate and understanding of people who are grieving and hurting. I feel that I can understand in a way that I never understood before.
I've told Lucas that his dad is now the biggest, brightest shining star in the sky. And he still does. When we drive along, he'll say, "Oh, look, there's Daddy up there, shining brightly."
I've become far more tolerant a person, a lot more caring, a much better listener to people, and far more aware of people's feelings and what's happening to them.
Also more positive in spending more time with my wife and family.
A lot of the day-to-day things are put into a perspective where they don't really matter. It's relationships, it's people, it's communication, it's helping people.
I have found that his death has made me more tolerant towards other people's feelings and views on things.
I'm more determined than ever to enjoy what I have and what is left to me for the rest of my life.
It's also made me feel very much that each day you make count, instead of always looking forward maybe to a week ahead or a month ahead or whatever.
Just live one day at a time, and you can help others through your terrible experience and grief. There will come a time when your experience will enrich others.
For me, it's helped me put a lot of other things into perspective.
I actually think his death has actually made me more aware of myself. I've learnt a lot about myself through his death.
I've learnt to appreciate what I've got even more now than probably had I not experienced losing a child. Responsibility
for my own happiness has probably been one of my greatest lessons.
I think that we have to remember to take each day as it comes, even 16 years down the track.
I've also accept change. It doesn't get me down if things don't go along the way that I think it needs to go with friendships or social activities or whatever.
There were 3 things that helped me. One was counselling, where I could really thrash out how I was feeling. 2 was to have friends who I could be honest with, and 3 was my faith.
Whatever you're feeling right at this very minute is exactly what you should be feeling. Don't let anybody tell you that you should be doing this or you should be doing that.
Give yourself time. Be kind to yourself. Don't let anyone tell you you're grieving wrongly. Don't let anyone tell you to get over it.
Life is never the same, but it doesn't mean to say can't be good.
We accommodate that which we've been through and we build a new tomorrow.
You can survive this and you will survive this. There will come a day when you realise that you've laughed more than you've cried.
First milestone is you'll survive. Your second milestone is you will recover. And the third milestone is you will heal.
I think it's important that we rediscover our lives. And we're enforced to do that. You don't have any choice. And the only way to the other side is through.
I have a special poem that I try and remember that I find puts the whole thing in perspective. It's written by a local South Australian author by the name of Nan Whitcomb, and it goes like this. To mourn too long for those we love is self-indulgent, but to honour their memory with a promise to live a little better for having known them gives meaning to their life and some purpose to their death.